Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Renaissance Marie Austin, and I am doing a very important video for you today. Okay. I realized, like, when I looked through my videos that I did not have an updated story about, you know, women's health, my experience with the fibroid tumors, my surgery, the before, during, and after. I know that I do have a couple of videos that I did review, talking about when I was diagnosed, and then also doing a follow-up from after my surgery. Okay, this video may be long, but it's going to be very detailed. It is the most updated one, 2022. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I was on Instagram and I happened to run across a promoted post, which maybe some of you have seen it. If you run across this video, you'll know what I'm talking about. That promoted by Own Your Health, and I think it's through Oprah Winfrey's website, like Own. And the post is very specifically targeted towards women that have fibroid tumors or just fibroids. But the thing is, when you click on the link and you go to the website, it pretty much just takes you to the Own Your Health, and it doesn't take you directly to information about fibroids, but there are just some stats there that talk about how Black women get fibroids double the rate of white women, or die double the rate of white women. But the thing is, I'm telling you, I was really moved by all of the comments that I saw in the comment section. Y'all, I was like, we're really going through this. We're really going through this. Okay? Some of the things that the women were typing, which I had already known of through my research about 7 years ago when I had my fibroids. If you're married, unable to have intercourse, some women don't even want to date because they can't stop bleeding. Some women are in so much pain. Some women are like, I look pregnant. Some women, it's like their second and third surgeries, or they grew back. Other ladies are like, my surgery date is in 2 weeks and I need to know blah, blah, blah. There's some people asking for advice and asking questions. And I said, well, I could talk to some of these ladies, but it's going to take me a while to like type out this and type out that. And I was just like, you know what? I have not done an updated video about my whole journey that I can easily just share with someone if they happen to ask. So just to let you guys know, it's 2022 and I'm currently in the process of going through a mind reset, trauma healing and disappointment healing self program for the first month of January. And I'm so happy, in a sense, to be back, and you guys can see me in a very different energy. And I'll talk about that a little bit later in another video, actually, about that. So, and not only that, I got a new phone. Y'all, I was having some issues with editing, so that's why you see me throwing up the videos like that now because I can edit like much easier. And that was just such a load off to be able to like edit my videos with ease and very fluidly and then get them up on YouTube or TikTok or whatever. I'm going to talk very slow in this video and very detailed. One of the things that I am fully understanding about myself that I've been journaling about is that I am a truth bearer. And oftentimes people, it's hard to really like chew on the truth. It's really hard to digest it and get it down. I can be like a preacher sometimes. Sometimes I can be a little harsh. I've learned to accept this. This is something that I cannot personally change myself. I believe that it is something that God has given me, and I've had it my whole life, and I'm learning. I'm actually praying now about how I should really utilize this type of authoritative energy that I never really knew how to use throughout my life. And I understand better why people perceive me the way that they do, and maybe why sometimes they act the way that they do around me, which has been hurtful and heartbreaking because I feel like it has caused me to not have a lot of true friends and not have a lot of people that really, really like me. But through this healing process that I'm going through, I'm really learning a lot and journaling a lot and, taking care of that on a whole another plane. So if it had not been for all of the people that helped me when I was going through my journey experience with the fibroid tumors, strangers on the street, a random person at Starbucks, or someone that I was like knitting and crocheting with, all of the advice that I got, and especially YouTube, coming to YouTube and finding all of these women that were telling their stories. And that really helped solidify the notion that I had fibroids after I had been sick for 3 years and doing all of this research and going back and forth to the doctor and still not having a diagnosis. Finally, when I understood the situation and I knew that my next step was to have a pelvic exam, that is when I ended up, my clinician was like, you need to go to emergency, and that was like the end of it all. So I'm doing this video now for all of the women that need to find someone to help them in their situation. And I'm going to share with you everything that everyone shared with me, my surgery, post, prep, all of the things that I didn't know that I learned and that I even realized in hindsight that I didn't know what I was doing. That was both beneficial and not so beneficial. Okay, so let's start at the top. First, I'm going to give you a very important resource. Okay, I can only give you the information. I cannot slam it down your throat. I cannot make you do anything. But if you care about your health and you care about not being in pain and you care about your family's health and your children's health, you will go watch this documentary. Okay? The name of the documentary is called They're Trying to Kill Us. It was created over a 5-year period by a guy that I was following on Instagram. I'm no longer on Instagram. His name is Badass Vegan. Okay? His name is John. If you're on Instagram, go follow badass vegan. Yes, I am now vegan for over a year and like 4 or 5 months now. This documentary is done in conjunction with the guy that did What the Health on Netflix. Currently, the documentary is still independent. It has not been picked up by any streaming services. And of course, the two top investors are Billie Eilish and the basketball player Chris Paul, okay, who are both vegan. killusfilm.com. Go to the website, rent the film for like $5, I believe. What did I do? I signed up and I paid like a certain amount that's good for 5 years, like $20 or something. But that was before they offered the rental fee. So I am a member of the website. I have been telling everyone about this film because it is from the standpoint of hip hop artists and athletes. It's one of the best ones I've seen. And I've seen What the Health. I've seen Seaspiracy on Netflix. I've seen Heal. I've seen just about all of the little like food documentaries on Netflix. And this is not just about Black and brown people. It's also about poor whites in the Midwest who don't have access to spinach or kale, and they don't have nothing but a Kroger or a Walmart for like 20 miles. Okay? So that's all I'm going to say about the film. Go and watch it because it's going to answer so many questions as to why men and women get prostate, breast, uterine cancer, ovarian cancer, and different masses that grow within the body. Okay? That's your resource. Next, I'm going to talk about my history in a very Sumerical fashion. I am now 42 years old. In April, I will be 43. I feel like I am aging backwards. Let me look at myself. I am actually really enjoying the aging process, especially since going vegan. Okay. Looking back over my life now as a little girl, looking at photos, it's like I was small, but I will always have this like little pop belly that like stuck out over my little Rustler jeans, okay, from Kmart. And I was looking at these pictures and I'd just be like, something, like all along, something was not right. And so I started my cycle at 8. I understand now that a lot of that allegedly may have been due to a hormonal imbalance. I would get sick every single month on my cycle, throwing up, just all kind of stuff. I never considered myself like a sickly child, but then I do remember dealing with constipation issues even as a child. Throughout all my life, even up until like last year, I dealt with bloating in my stomach like all the time. 15, 20 years. Pretty much. And I'm going to say this in this section to the parents, because my brother is a parent. I never had children myself. I know I talked in the other video about wanting to have a baby. My thoughts about that has changed, and I'm really okay with not having children at this point, for various reasons. So I say to my brother, and I say to the parents, the dads and moms, listen very carefully for your little boys and your little girls. It is very normal for kids to be like, Mommy, soda. Oh, the ice cream truck. Because I lived in a neighborhood with an ice cream truck. We was at the ice cream truck every day, eating ice cream and candy and Mexican candy, and eating ice cream and chili Fritos and banana splits all the time. Later on, when your little girls start having their periods and they become young adults in their 20s and stuff, the same thing is going to happen to them if you continue the cycle. You as a mother, if you have fibroids in whatever capacity, you're dealing with them for whatever reason. Now, with the movie They're Trying to Kill Us, that's part of it. But the reason why they are killing us is because we have not come into the full revelation of the knowledge of the food science and our human biological science to understand what we really should be eating. Because we're going off the food pyramid that was given to us in elementary school because of what the government said to do. And because I remember as a little girl, the news saying eggs are bad. And then 5 years later, eggs are good. And then this month later, salmonella this. And so, let me not get too ahead of myself. Raise your children on a plant-based diet. Okay? That's pretty much my history. And I'm going into the next thought process. Do not do this to your children. Break the cycle. Because you have done it to yourself. Okay? I did it to myself. I am not blaming anyone. Right? Because let me explain lifestyle and how I got to the point of being sick and then being diagnosed with the tumors. So we have my history. Let's fast forward a little bit. I didn't start getting sick until I moved into downtown Los Angeles and got my loft and was living a metropolitan lifestyle with all the other artists and musicians. Think about this. And I started going to the restaurants and becoming a coffee connoisseur. You know, single origin, drip coffee, juiceries, this breakfast spot, Little Tokyo, let's go get ramen, you know? And I started getting sicker and sicker. Because my lifestyle before that, living in the South Side, going to Costco and maintaining pretty much a very stable diet of like Normandy vegetables. I would buy salmon. I go to Costco, buy chicken breast, salmon, vegetables. Yeah, I made spaghetti. Yes, I ate ice cream. This, that, or whatever. Yes, I made salads. I love salads. But I was not aware of all of the things that were not good for me. However, I wasn't really exposed to a more toxic lifestyle, really, because even in certain parts of the city, the air quality is worse. And then I'm going to all of these places, all of these restaurants, to the burger stands and all this stuff. And I suddenly go from eating one way that's very stable, where my body recognizes that this is pretty much the way that I've been eating, to all of a sudden going to eating like this, eating like that, having pizza, but just whatever. That made the world of a difference. So it is true that lifestyle can affect your health. And I will say that the coffee, I became a coffee addict. That was not good. Because then I discovered later that the caffeine is what grows the fibroid tumors. Okay? So let me go to my next thought. While I was ill, of course, I did a lot of research. There were people who helped me that suggested books, and there was 2 books that I read. One was like the gut cleanse plan, something about the gut. I'm sorry, guys, if I cannot remember the names, okay? But there was 2 very significant books that was suggested to me by a random lady that saw me in the Central Library, and I was wearing a mask over my face, and she stopped me and she said, "Why are you wearing a mask?" And I told her my issues. This is what she said to me. Do not eat corn. Do not eat rice. Do not eat gluten. And then she gave me the book reference, Gut Cleanse Plan. Something about the gut. Here's one thing I remember from the book that stayed with me. You are in partnership with your doctor. You must do your own research and do not go to WebMD. You can do Google Scholar, but even now, from like 7 years ago, the browsers are so much different. Everything is so censored. You must be in partnership with your doctor. When I would show up to my clinic, I had questions. I had already done research in a sense that when I went in there, they knew that I knew what I was talking about. They knew this. Not once did they ever prescribe me any kind of medication for anything, because it's an energy. When you guys go and you just go, "Doctor, what's wrong with me?" Don't do that shit. Sorry, excuse me. Don't do that. Do not do that. I can't tell you what to say and do, but go and have a conversation with your doctor and say, "You know what? I read that, blah, 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 blah." You need to pretty much be like, "I know what you know." Because then, they're just going to be like, "Well, let me at least prescribe you." They'll see you for 5 minutes and be like, "Let me at least prescribe you." So then you'll be like, okay. They know the energy of people. They know. You don't need to be prescribed nothing. Okay? So let me organize my thoughts. Okay. Now let me talk about when I started to know that I was becoming very ill. I did just move into downtown LA, and then I saw that there was like this church across the street at the theater, and I was like, okay, cool. Like I can go to a church or whatever. They would give away like little bags of food, and there was like spaghetti sauce, pasta, and some other little canned things. And I was like, okay, cool, free food. I could go home, make my spaghetti. So I started making spaghetti, and I noticed that I would eat the spaghetti and I would just cramp up so bad, like doubled over in cramps. But this was not foreign to me. Like when I was a teenager and when I was younger, having my cycle and the cramps, I would double over in cramps sometimes, not every month, but there would be times where I would just be like, I can't even move off the couch. And the cramps would last, and usually on the left side, because you guys understand the appendix is on like the right side, which I looked this up. Colon is on the left side. This is so important because this is how people get colon cancer too. I will explain that. So it would take about like 3 days to subside. And I said to myself, okay, let me do a smaller portion of spaghetti. And I will have just like a little bit, like not just on a plate, like just a little bit. And I would still get cramped up. It wouldn't last as long. And then I was like, okay, I can't eat spaghetti then. This is my reasoning, right? I'm like, I can't eat spaghetti. And next thing I know, it was just all of these things. We went through a process of trying to figure out what was the issue with my stomach. The bloating, the this, the that. We went from celiac to this, to that. I just started researching everything. But I was also taking in, coffee, like I said, and just, I don't know, it was really weird because all I can say is that I started losing my focus. And one day I was on a couch, like I woke up and I was on a couch for like 3 days. I mean, it's really weird because I was going comatose. And I was literally, like, I lost my focus and I literally was just like on the couch for like 3 days. One morning, the 4th day or 5th day or whatever, I woke up and it was like a dream because I was starting to feel fatigue and we still just didn't know. I didn't have a diagnosis, nothing. I just know that I was like mentally and physically going through something where I just was not all right. I was not balanced. And I know that I prayed. I was like, Lord, like I had woke up and it was, how like right before you're like fully awake, I was like, Lord, help me. I was just like, oh, what do I do? And I heard a voice, juice. So I got up, I went across the street to the juicery, which was a raw organic juicery. And thank the Lord that I had the money at the time to be able to afford the juicing. Not that it's overly expensive, but it's like, yeah, it's cheaper if you do it at home and you have your own juicer. But then also you compensate for time because then you got to clean a juicer and you got to do something with the pulp and you're doing all of that yourself. So I went across the street and I already knew that I loved grapefruit and of course I would need something green. And so I got 3 juices that morning for the whole day, put them in a fridge. When I tell you, I took the first couple sips of like the first drink and it was almost like, it felt like when I had got my blood transfusion, which I will explain later. Life. All of a sudden, my mind was like, I was like coming back to life. I ended up juicing for 4 months straight. I did not chomp a piece of food. Everything was restored to me, my focus, my health, whatever. I think I probably had a lot of mucus in my body. And all of my cells were just clarified. I had naturally come down in weight. Drank a lot of distilled water. But even in this process, I would like lay on the floor of my loft, which was a hardwood floor. And I would just be like, I feel like it feels like a knot because like I have previous dance training. So sometimes I might be on the floor stretching, and you can watch some of my old videos and know that I had started like a workout routine, and I was just like, oh, I want to go ahead and lose weight. It's a new year, and I'm going to the gym at my place, and started the juicing and all this stuff. And yeah, it was just like I feel like there's something. I know, but I don't know. I think there's something. Okay? So now, after 4 months of juicing, I was in good standing. Then one morning, my brother was like, hey, let's go to the nickel diner and like get breakfast. So I was like, cool. So we walked, I think we probably walked over to the nickel diner because it didn't need to drive. It was like a block over. And I knew that I never really liked buttermilk pancakes. And I asked them if they had like gluten free, and they was like, no, we don't have that, you know. So, anywho, I had got this breakfast and I had pancakes with it. And went about the day, like we went back to the loft and everything was cool. And of course, like when you have like a pancake breakfast with some eggs and sausage and this and that or whatever, that can pretty much like hold you over for the whole day. That was the only thing I ate that day. I woke up the next morning. When I tell you, I felt like so groggy. Like I woke up feeling terrible. Let me just tell you that. I woke up feeling terrible. And I was like, and I thought to myself, I said, the only thing I ate yesterday was the big pancake breakfast. I went right back over to the juicery, got me some juice. And when I was leaving, I said to the girl, I said, I said I had pancakes yesterday and I just woke up feeling crazy. And she said to me, here's another person that helped me. Look, God ordained, providential, God divine. She said, maybe you're gluten sensitive. I'm telling you, there are people in your life that will help you if your spirit is willing and open, and that God will place them there. They will show up and they will give you the information that you need. And it'll be in such a way that it's such a realization that it hits you and you change. Sometimes you get information and it doesn't quite hit your spirit and you don't change because you don't fully comprehend at that moment. And see, this is how I felt about food trends and diets. I was always like, I had my little bouts throughout my high school and Soul Train dancing days of taking fen and, like diet this, diet that. And I always wanted to be skinny and I always felt like my body was a problem. And just like any other young lady who goes through that. But I would be in the grocery store and I started to see these like little signs that would be like gluten free, or I go down this aisle and be like gluten free, and I'll just be like, another diet trend, like I have trust issues, honey. I'm not so easily believing because of my own history and how my kindness has been taken advantage of. I'm not easily trusting of the things that I see or always that people say right off. So she said that. So then I started looking into gluten and I started researching it, and I was like, this is a real thing. I was like, this is a real thing. And maybe I am sensitive to gluten. That was the first thing. So I realized at that point, anything like if I was getting Danishes from Starbucks, pizza, spaghetti, pastas, I cut out all pasta. And when I tell you, I don't miss pasta. Pasta put me in so much pain, I don't miss it. And I was like, no more pasta for me. I'm not touching it. So that was like one of the main things that I eliminated. Then I juiced from that point on. After waking up feeling crazy, I juiced for a whole nother month, didn't chomp not one piece of food. And then I felt restored again like I did before when I juiced for 4 months. But I was getting skinnier and skinnier. I was getting more and more fatigued. All the way leading up until the point of where I did move from downtown LA and I was like living somewhere else in mid city. And then I was doing a play. I was starring in a play. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else in between. Just a little note about my coffee addiction. One time I had like 13 espressos in one day and made me want to fight somebody. So I went to go get a salad. That helped. But there was a point where I only wanted coffee and biscottis. I was not eating food, y'all. I was drinking coffee and eating biscottis all day long. Not nutritional at all whatsoever. So just to fast forward, it got to the point where I finally made it to YouTube and finally made it to all of these stories of women, and it finally occurred to me that I probably have fibroids. I finally did get a diagnosis, and that pretty much happened when I ended up in emergency and I had to have a blood transfusion because I was only operating off of like barely a pint of blood in my body. When I tell you I was a dead person walking, the Lord was keeping me alive, period. And I would say that at a certain point, I knew that there were only certain foods that I could take in that did not cause me too much discomfort. I was pretty much dealing with discomfort and like pain on the daily. Every time I woke up, it was just discomforting as a whole. And I would say that I was getting so skinny, I realized at one point, I said, okay, the things that I can eat, I'll just double up on those so I won't continue to lose weight. Because where was I going? I would go to the spa a lot. And at the spa, you can weigh yourself. And I just noticed like every time I go to the spa, I would like lose a couple more pounds. And I was like, I'm not even maintaining. Like I'm just losing. Every time I come back here, I keep dropping by like 2-3 pounds. I was like, I don't want that. So what I could eat, I doubled up on. Now, here's some other angels that helped me out. I was tiny. Yes, I looked pregnant. When I went to the spa, there was definitely some women that just were some angels. That's all I'm going to say. Like they saw me and assumed that I was pregnant. And, fibroids are so interesting because it's not like I never had a flat stomach, but it's just something about when you have growth in your uterus that somehow, I think your brain, based on my research and our human biology, that believes maybe that you are pregnant when there is growth in your uterus. And I do know that the fibroids could either be connected outside, to a line, or on the inside of your uterus. So, like I said, there were some guardian angels at the spa. And at that point, I doubled up on what I could eat. And I pretty much managed until I ended up in emergency. I had to quit the play and they replaced me, which was like, okay. But I was able to go see the musical after my blood transfusion. And the doctor said to me in the hospital, she said, the blood is like gas to a car. Everything is about the blood. When you go and get your general checkup and they prick your finger and then they take your blood pressure to check all of your vitals, and they come back and they go, oh, your cholesterol's good, your cholesterol's fine, your blood pressure's good. Oh, okay, cool. Everything is in the blood. And I'm going to explain that in just a second. I did develop a heart murmur at that time. I no longer have a heart murmur now, but because I was so low on blood, there was not enough blood getting pumped to my heart. So my heart was fluttering. 3 times I did this on a couch in my loft, sitting, crocheting or something, and suddenly going black. And I come back almost blacked out 3 times and not even understanding or even knowing that I was not getting enough blood to my heart. Okay? Let me think about what my next thought is. And of course, if you guys have any questions, put them in the comment section because I could miss something. I'm only sharing my fully detailed experience, okay? Also, I thought about this, and I really hope that I want to make sure I'm clear. Thank you for being patient with me. And I want to make sure that, because I'm obviously not going to cut this video. I want it to be very conversational. And I want to make sure that I'm being very clear. Let me know if I am. And that you guys understand everything that I'm saying in a very conversational manner. So let me go back really quickly to the lady at the library who told me not to eat corn, white rice, no sugar, and she gave me the book reference. She said, have you heard for eating for your blood type? I have been hearing about it. People have been mentioning it. They had, been trying to debunk it. But I said, let me look into this. Guys, I believe in it. It has changed my life. I am a living testament of going blood type indexed and specifically focusing on my options of food that fall under my blood type. I am A positive, okay? So now, which is actually second category rare blood type. Actually, there's one that is a smaller pool of people that's more rare than mine. And then our group, the A positives, which I do know some A positives, but it's not as popular as someone with universal or B or O or A negative or something like that. So in conjunction with the blood type diet, along with the blood transfusion, now we're here. I'm in the emergency, having a blood transfusion. Listen, I was so anemic. When I tell you I was so anemic, I was so cold. They kept giving me those heated blankets, and they put like 3 heated blankets on me, and I was so cold. My brother was nervous as hell. I think he told me he got the runs or something. I don't want to give him away. We was waiting for the doctor. The machines could not even read what my blood type was because I barely had any. So they had to immediately give me universal O. Listen, when I tell you, when I felt that blood going through my veins, I started giggling on the table because then I understood that blood is life, you guys. Blood is life. Like right before they was getting ready to give me the transfusion, I was holding on. It seemed like all at once, it just hit me, and I started to go. It was like God was like keeping me holding on until I hit that emergency room. And then it all hit me, and I started to go. And I was looking up at the little light that they have in a room, and I grabbed hold of the side of the bed, because you know it has like the little things that you could pull up and pull down that you can hold on to so you don't fall out the bed. And I grabbed hold, and I saw the salt and pepper coming, and I was looking at the light. I said, nope. I was so determined to hold on. I said, you go hold on, because I had to wait like 15 minutes for the doctor. And they was like, we waiting for the doctor. We waiting for the doctor. Girl, they shot that O in my veins. I started coming back. I will never forget it. I started coming back to life. So let me say this. Here's what I learned. We do not feed our bodies. Nothing does a body good. We feed our blood. And guess how many people don't know their blood type? Why do you think that is? You think it would be so natural for your doctor to be like, oh, your blood type, but you never see it. You never hear it. They never tell you. Demand your blood type. I know mothers who's like, oh, just had a baby, don't know the blood type of their baby. Demand it. Men and women, you must know. I know because I have to have the blood transfusions. Because we feed our blood, not our bodies. A body is just a body. Everything is carried through the bloodstream. I learned that our circulatory system is the blood that travels through all of the arteries to our different organs, to our brains and our nerve endings and everything that carries our vitamins and minerals and all of the beneficial things that we need to function. I used to think when I ate something and experts would say, oh, absorbed into the circulatory system, that something like food that I ate would just absorb into my body, and that it was like floating around in my body. Until I went to the library and literally started watching documentaries about human physiology and human biology and how we work and how the intestines work. That was really the first step to when I was starting to get sick. And I was like, that's the issue right there, is that we don't know how we work. So, the villi in our intestines are the little tentacles that pull in the beneficial things that we need, and then we eliminate what we don't. Okay? Let's fast forward. After my blood transfusion, I was pretty much good. I felt like life had come back. My fatigue had left. Because I will say the reason why I ended up in emergency is I was going on my 3rd week of bleeding out, and it wouldn't stop. I had like managed my cycles for a time, but just over the time they had become so irregular, kind of got it under control, and then it just fell all out of control. So 8 days before my appointment, I completely took myself off coffee, and some of my strength was coming back. I would go to work, I'd go to church, come home, and just rest the whole day. I was pretty much resting the whole day. That helped restore a little bit of the energy. Once I had my blood transfusion, things were like super good, and my weight was like coming back until I would have a surgery date. Okay. Let me say that if you have a surgery date and you have not yet had surgery, even for people that already have, I'm going to give you some important tips. When I had my surgery, they were shocked at the hospital that I did not need morphine. I did not need laudanum that they prescribed, and then they discontinued it. They only gave me hospital grade Tylenol. I did lose more blood than I needed to lose after surgery, so that first night I had to have a blood transfusion. Another one, not as much as 7 units, but I believe it was 3. I told them I was going to need one. Those people didn't know what to do with me. I mean, I was at Cedars, and Cedars, they were good to me. They did well. But I happened to be the youngest person on that floor because that particular floor had all elderly people. And the night crew, they were not used to having to have an emergency like I had that particular night. It's usually pretty quiet on that floor. That particular crew did not know how to do the blood transfusion. I pretty much had to instruct them on what to do. Go figure, medical industry, which is why you need to stop being overly trusting of people who are just people just like you, and take the reins of your health into your mind and into your own hands and be in partnership with the medical industry when needed. Now, let me go back a little bit and say about the blood and the reason why I had to be rushed to emergency. My hemoglobin was 2. I made history all throughout Cedars. Okay. They could not believe that I was alive and that my hemoglobin was 2. People die when their hemoglobin is at like 6. They need a blood transfusion when their hemoglobin is at like 5, 6. They was asking me, can you see? Is your vision blurry? Can you stand up? I was in the lobby. By the time I got to Cedars, which is like 2 minutes from my clinic, by the time I got there, they had already had my name, everything. They was like, oh yeah, we just heard about you. We know you coming. Me and my brother was sitting in the lobby. We was waiting for the emergency room and for the bed. We sitting there. I'm looking at my brother's hands and we pressing our fingertips to see the blood. My brother's pressing my fingertips. He's like, yeah. He's like, there's no blood there. I'm sitting there smiling, everything. We just like pressing our fingertips. And then they came and got me. And they were just, it was like 3 doctors. They were just like, do you need us to hold your arms? I was like, I'm fine. Literally laughing with a hemoglobin of 2. Thank you, Lord. This is how powerful the Spirit of God is. The Lord will enter into your body and take care of you. And I say that to say it was all good until finally God was like, okay, you're safe. You're in the emergency room. You're in the bed. And that's when it all hit me. That's when I started freezing. That's when I started like blacking out. Like I probably normally should have been doing with a hemoglobin of 2. But God helped me up until I was in the place where I needed to be to get my blood transfusion. Okay. So I wanted to say that about that part. So let me go ahead and go back. And I was saying that if you are going to have surgery, even if you have had surgery, this is what I did not know. All of the juicing that I had done was a huge benefit to the healing process after my surgery. That was one of the reasons why my wound healed so nicely. That was one of the reasons why all I needed was Tylenol. It was like such a revelation. You cannot be like, and this is surgery for anything. You cannot think that, oh, I'm going to go under the knife and be on sugar, meat, dairy, ice cream, fatty foods, cheese, mac and cheese, burgers, and think that you go recover real easily. Because a lot of people have issues with recovery and their wounds taking forever to recover. Why? Because you didn't prep your body to go under the knife. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going to go under the knife, do not touch sugar, dairy, meat, fish. I know some of you going to be like, but my iron and but my... Most of us women are iron deficient, and I'm going to talk about the iron, but I'm going to say this, you don't have to listen to me. You do not have to listen to me. But I'm just going to tell you this is my experience. And I, consult with everybody's body is different. But you need to trust the process. You need to trust the process, because people feel like, oh, my protein and my iron is only coming from meat. No, you can get it from somewhere else. Trust me, when you see that film, you are going to understand what it is that I'm saying. And I'll explain a little bit about that as well, about the food science and our biological science and why things are not immediate, it's progressive. So, if anything, even if you cut down on it by half, increase your supplements, increase it, or start taking supplements if you don't already take them. Increase your supplements, increase your juicing. And I don't mean going to the grocery store and getting naked juice. Go to Sprouts, Mother's, or Whole Foods, Lawson's. I'm in Los Angeles, but this video could be viewed from anywhere. Find a place, even if you have to order something from Amazon, if you don't have it in your area. Whole Foods, they make their juice in-house. Press Juicery at Sprouts is one of the vendors. At least that's pre-made. But if you can juice at home, do that. But if you have a juicery that does raw natural, like in your neighborhood, go there and spend the money and do it. Because you are prepping the inside of your body to heal well. Drink lots of water. Oh my goodness, let's talk about water. Truth is, a lot of people don't drink enough. Barely any at all. Water helps even with hair growth, thickening of the hair, keeping the system clarified, flushed. No excuses, guys. No excuses. I've told a lot of people about distilled water, so let me break down what I've learned about water. I became a water connoisseur in high school, and I realized I learned about distilled water in college when I was studying fashion design and fashion marketing, because we could only use distilled water for a particular medium of paint called gouache. If you use anything else, it'll mess up the molecular structure of the paint. Distilled water is best in steamers and irons and appliances because it's the most sanitized, sterilized, purest form of water. Distilled water is used to make pharmaceuticals and other things. What do you think is going to do to your system when you drink it? I know there have been studies. I'm not going to argue with anyone about that because there are studies from the 70s about distilled water. But once you understand that the regimens that be are not for you, they are for making money, it is better off for you to be sick and then die, rather than you be well, period. So sometimes studies can be biased. It depends on who funds the study. Trust no one, like the X-Files told us. So you need to drink distilled water. Distilled water clarifies at the cellular level. Yes, it depletes in a good way, because studies have shown that, but distilled water completely depletes your system of beneficial nutrients. And that, let me tell you something. Each cell is like your bedroom. You can only fit a certain amount of people in your bedroom. There is a capacity. Once that room is filled, it's very difficult for other things to get in. This is why absorption is key. This is why we would hear our whole lives from experts and from people that when you go to Target and you get supplements and you take supplements, that the body doesn't absorb 100% of the supplement. Why? Why doesn't it? Because if your cells are already filled with things that you don't need, then the good stuff can't be absorbed inside. Your cells know what to do with what it's supposed to do. The body is an amazing engineered masterpiece of God, you know? So here's the thing. You go to the gym, you work out, you do that. But you're working out on top of toxic cells. This is another thing I learned from somebody else on YouTube who explained about yoga and working out. They were like, you could work out, but your body could still be toxic. You can sweat, you can get some of the toxins out, but this is why oftentimes you still can maintain inflammation and bulkiness, because a lot of people be like, well, I go to the gym, but the gym makes me bulky for some women. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm telling you guys, I'm giving you all the goods, everything that I learned. I spent 2 years at the gym while finishing school just because that worked for me, but I've never been a gym person. So you must clarify and flush your body often. About a gallon of distilled water a day is pretty good, or maybe 75% of that, depending on your weight, your height, your size, your blood type. My blood type tends to create higher levels of cortisol, which creates more stress. So according to my blood type index, a lot of the foods on it are holistic and medicinal, and they are foods that they're stress lowering foods. So there's the balance. The most important thing for each individual blood type is that you are in harmony and that your hormones are in balance. That is the key for anyone, male or female. And only you know how to figure that out. So, as it stands today, the way I work my water is that 20 years of distilled water, I'm starting to think that it is the distilled water that is, look at me, I'm going to be 43 in April. And I'm like, every time my friends see me, they're like, you don't age. Because our cells continue to copy, right? Like the carbon copy, replicate. We are regenerative beings. So you want your cells to be tip-top healthy cells, so that when they do replicate, regenerate, our tissue, everything, when we have a cut, anything, that everything is regenerating in the most healthy fashion. beautiful skin. There are other things. I mean, nothing's perfect. I did have some more breakouts as far as like darker spots. Like for a while, I went without dark spots, but it's okay. Like I've learned to not worry so much about that, especially post surgery. I've learned to love my body more. Um, I'm beautiful without makeup, with makeup, whatever. And I really let go of a lot of those things that us women can really worry about and become very comfortable in my skin and at peace with what I am. So I have recently, because with getting older, I every now and then I would get my mineral water, which is Mountain Spring. That actually was introduced to me years ago, and I would like grab some every now and then. But now I have my distilled and I have my Mountain Spring water, which about every 2 weeks I'll mineralize. But for me, I know when I need to mineralize. I can kind of like feel it in my body. But usually, about every 2 weeks, I'll grab some mineral water. And the difference, because not all water is created equal, y'all. It is not. Some water does nothing for you. It has nothing but gas in it, or it's just purified tap. Y'all, distilled water is astringent. Distilled water will remove the inflammation from your body. Once you are clarified, then you can take in the mineral water. Oh, I love the way mineral water feels. It's like air. It's hydrating actually, and you can actually feel the difference. So it's, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the word. Like it feels very hydrating. It's a huge difference in distilled water and mineral water. Now they made this whole trend about alkaline water. My brother jumped on it. He loved his alkaline water. I said, brother, you have to be careful about the alkaline water. I would say that would be your third choice, but watch how much you alkalize your body, because see, the stomach needs the acid. There's certain parts of your body, and I just learned this through research. Certain parts of your body, as far as the stomach especially, needs to be acidic, because the stomach is where a lot of like just free radicals, viruses, germs, and things like that can actually be killed in the stomach. So the stomach, the intestines need to be healthy. You need to have healthy flora. And we'll talk about that a little bit later as I fast forward. So that's water, you guys. Water, water, water is your friend. Okay. What else? All right. So, you know what? Let me go ahead and talk about a little bit of the veganism, like I'm vegan now, and just about the food in general, in conjunction with the film. So, guys, this is real deal. I'm telling you, this portion of this video right here relates to so much of the film. They're trying to kill us. This American diet versus the diet of our ancestors pre-slavery. Ain't nobody talking about a southern plantation diet. This is like me going to Jamaica and living there for 10 days and not seeing one person eating a bag of chips. I saw people walking down the street eating a mango. What I'm saying is, and I had a Nigerian boyfriend in like 2017, and I learned a lot from him. So I'm telling you, all of these people just combined was such a help to me. And so I learned a lot about, not to say that all Nigerian food is good, but I'm going to speak now about culture, American culture, European culture, in other parts of the world, how in the EU, they don't allow some foods that America allows here because of certain ingredients. The FDA will approve stuff with a certain amount of pesticides and a certain amount. Like, guys, you have to research this and just know that our food has been weaponized for a long time now already. And you have to know that it's a lot of it is depletion. The soil is depletion. If you have space in your yard or on a balcony, if you can at least grow herbs, get a rosemary plant or do your basil, mint. I was growing celery when I had my studio in Long Beach. I ate so much celery. I spent $1 for that celery plant, and it just grew and grew. I cut it, I ate it, and it just kept growing. Whatever you can do in your own space, do that. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, because I said I was going to talk about this. The sugar, the meat, the dairy, the fish. I'm just going to tell you, go watch Seaspiracy on Netflix. I was vegan and still having at least salmon, because my body had always loved salmon. Let me tell you, I don't eat fish. I ain't touch salmon. After I seen that, I go to the store, look at the salmon, and be like, I want to buy it, but I think about Seaspiracy, and I'll be like. And there was a couple of times, when I did buy the salmon, and I'm telling you, our brain is crazy, right? Our psyche is crazy, because I couldn't eat the salmon. There was like one piece, and it was like, okay, like Sprouts has this little string beans with the vegetables, and then the salmon, right? And I'm like, okay, this is good. I get to this part where the salmon is like chewy, and then I just, let me tell you, I just got grossed out, guys. I got grossed out, okay? That's so crazy. Like, when you see it, you can't unsee it. You just can't. And when I find information that is beneficial to me, I get a bullhorn and I just start telling everybody, because I desire that we are healthy and happy, and that we don't get fibroids, and that we don't die from them, and we don't have to have hysterectomies. And some women, very few, small percentage, are good with the hysterectomy. They're like, I'm good, never turn back. But a lot of people, listen, I don't want nothing taken out of my body that God put there was meant to be there. Because just so you know, and I did research on this, you could do your own research. Your uterus is actually your central mental health system, really. They try to say like the man's penis is his other brain, but our uterus is also a second brain for us. We have a brain. This brain is nothing without the neurons and without the messages being sent to it. Our uterus controls our emotions, our mood swing, like everything. You could study this. So a lot of women have mental issues and emotional issues when they have the hysterectomy. You don't want that. Okay? I know for some it's too late. Part of that is part of the plan, though. Okay? A lot of women of color, black, brown, other people of color get those hysterectomies out. It is about depopulation and about population control. Period. Do your own research. Here's some of the things that some people say. But my iron, and I tried, and I understand, like, I have never had children. I understand that women have children and their hair changes, their body changes, because at the end of the day, though, the foundation of it all is that things fall out of balance, like the hormonal imbalance. No matter what, your body is your body. It's set to work the way that it's supposed to work. And remember, we feed our blood, not our body. So when we have babies and whenever things change in the body, we got to look at our blood. You might need to go and you may need to have like a test to find out what you're efficient in and what you're deficient in. Because sometimes the baby can take so much from the mother, even when you're going through the nursing process. And so you actually need to be monitoring all of your vitamins and your minerals, and you need to be keeping tab on, well, do I have enough zinc, do I have enough magnesium, do I have, like, what am I low in, the vitamin K, the A, the E, do I need, like, these are things that sometimes the mothers don't think about, because the reason why those changes happen is because of the change in the hormone. Like, it's not like it's science, but it's not rocket science. It's just the fact that things have to come back into balance. So the changes means that you either have to add or take some things away. You could increase in a certain nutrient and decrease in something else, and you have to make up for that. So when I get the women that be like, but my iron and my doctor said I have to go back on meat. Listen, you don't have to listen to me, but I said before, trust the process, because what I'm just going to say in general about sugar is poison. Go watch the film. They're trying to kill us. Dairy are digestible components, but they're not food. Here's the main thing that I can tell you from the film. I don't know, I forget the word she used, but it's hormones outside of the hormones our body actually makes. So, men and women make hormones. Animals are living creatures just like we are. They create hormones. It is their hormones outside of our body that we consume. And those outside estrogens and whatever else attached to the hormone receptors in our bodies. Where are the hormone receptors? In the uterus, in the breast tissue, our sexual organs. And this is where things grow and the masses grow, because those hormones are foreign to the hormones that we already make. So this is how men and women get prostate cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, colon cancer. Well, some other colon cancers, I'll explain that. I'll talk about pooping. Pooping is important. Breast cancer. Okay? That dairy, y'all. And there's hormones in the meat. Gluten, studies have shown that gluten contributes to mental illness. I have had gluten, and it has altered my mood and made me irritable. Okay? The meat. When those animals are taken to slaughter, everybody know when they go die. If somebody put a gun to your head, terror, fear, anxiety, excitement all share the same neurological reaction in the body. The brain recognizes it as one thing, right? When those animals go to the slaughter, it's the same. They know they're going to die. Fear, anxiety, mortification shoots through their bloodstream and into their tissues and muscles. And this is the last thing they experience when they go to the slaughter. So now you are taking on their sorrow when you eat meat. You are taking on their anxiety and their mortification, because it is in the DNA. Like any living creature has DNA. Like DNA is everywhere. Life, atoms, molecules. It's all DNA. Everything has a molecular structure. You will find that when you remove the sugar, the meat, and the dairy, you will become more calm. You will become more focused. You will become more clarified. And you will become healthier. It is progressive. you do it a little bit at a time. Some people are able to go cold turkey. But if you are having meat every day, because that American diet, some of us is having Thanksgiving like it's every day. So maybe you have to have Thanksgiving every other day, then every 2 days, then every 3 days. Find the progression that works for you. It doesn't matter how long it takes. You say iron, you may not, like if iron is a huge issue, don't cut out meat immediately, but start taking more iron. And we're going to talk about that too, because this is another thing that I talked about with people when I was sick because of the anemia, because a lot of women are anemic, because of our cycles. We'll talk about that iron. Start taking iron supplements while you're eating the meat, and start overlapping and having less and less meat and doing more of your iron supplements, and then find a iron replacement in a food. Like, yes, you can get iron from spinach, but here's the thing, we're so used to being socialized to believe that our dinner only got to be salmon and string beans or chicken breast, vegetables, and rice. We eat this every day for our whole lives because that's the American healthy dinner. Brussels sprouts and, a baked potato. Like, we have been limited to a certain amount of food, and that's all we know. So when I talk about the veganism, I will talk about all of the things that I discovered in another video, but I'll just say a little bit about the veganism and how when you begin to explore foods that you may not have explored before, you'll be amazed at all the options we have for making all different kinds of dishes. Okay, let's talk about the iron. Here's 2 stories that I've always talked with people about when I was sick all the way up until now. Iron makes me constipated. Iron pills makes me constipated. Now, me, I didn't have an issue with the constipation. Totally fine for me. So there's one of 2 people. Either you will get backed up or you won't. I was suggested at the hospital to just go to Target, get some iron pills to build up my iron. And if I had any issues with constipation, to get the psyllium husk. But something in a hospital, they call it like colace or something like that, but it's similar to like a stool softener. Okay, have you thought about this? You take your iron pills and you get constipated. How much water do you drink? Because there's other things that contribute to constipation. It's a combination of things. It's not just like, oh, I took iron pills and I got constipated. How much water do you drink? What is your history of drinking water? How much meat, dairy, and sugar do you eat? And what is your history of drinking that? So it's up to you. I can't tell you. But everything is like weights and balance. Because if one person gets constipated and one person doesn't, what is the difference? We all have different bodies, but what is the difference in what we're taking in? How much water we're drinking? Do you drink tea? How much coffee? Or just whatever? All of those things play a role in how you are affected by foods and supplements and things that you take in. So let's see. I had my surgery. I recovered well, like I said. Still was not prescribed anything afterwards. This was a question that one of the ladies put on Instagram on that post, that they was going to have surgery. They wanted to know about after surgery. I've told you guys how to prepare for surgery. Now, after surgery, be very careful about your wound. Now, my wound is up to my belly button. People was telling me, get the bikini cut. And there are various kinds of surgery, depending on the sizes or of your fibroid. Look, I've been talking for a long time now. Depending on the size, there are some very like non-evasive procedures. I had an abdominal myomectomy in which I just had to be cut open. Some people got the bikini cut where you don't really see the scar. It's kind of like a C-section cut. So however you have your surgery, whatever. But I had a long scar from the bottom of the top of my vajayjay up to my belly button. My brother pretty much had to like lift my feet, tie my shoes. You cannot put any pressure down there, like on your bladder, on your uterus, in like the first 2-3 days. You can't put pressure down there. When I was in the bed, my brother had to lift my feet I couldn't lift my feet myself. I had to be very careful with getting out of the bed when I had to go to the restroom. And even in the first night, like when my brother went home and I would go to the restroom, I found a way where I could ease into the bed with the least amount of pressure on like my bladder and on the wound. Okay. I did not sleep flat. We bought the little thing, you know how like you buy the little thing like with the little arms and you kind of sit up. So I had to sleep like propped up. You cannot come out of surgery in the next 3 days be like, I want some Chinese food, I want some pizza. Hell to the no. Because you need to be eating soft foods. So the church that I was going to at the time did a food train for me, and I told them specifics to bring. At the time, I was eating a lot of plain yogurt because I knew that this was the perfect opportunity to create really good flora in my intestines. I was eating a gang of sauteed spinach for iron. I was taking my iron supplements, and I believe I had psyllium husk. People brought me blueberries, pineapples, and this is what I studied according to my blood type index. They brought me lots of plain yogurt, zero, what was it? Not even, no 2% anything. I always loved like zero milk fat, plain tart yogurt. I would eat that, and raspberries. So my blood type index does not have me eating any melon, no honeydew, no cantaloupe. I can eat watermelon. They say strawberries, but I don't like strawberries because they done did bad for strawberries. So blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, pineapples, perfect for my blood type. Lot of vitamin C stuff, grapefruit juice, lemons and limes, and tons of spinach, and then plain yogurt. So I was eating a lot of that. It was an 8-week process for recovery, and I was just pretty much eating a lot of that, and with my garlic. So I'll have olive oil, garlic, and I just saute my spinach and just eat that up. When I tell you, because this is my real life experience, when I tell you my movements, my bowel movements, I know this is going to sound so funny, were the most beautiful. Y'all go laugh at me. But I'm saying, like, I literally experienced what bowel movements should be like. the consistency, but this is so important for you to know, because coming right off of surgery, after having going through that whole process of juicing, this was I came out of surgery with a good system, y'all. With a good system. Everything moving through smoothly, a nice green color from the spinach, and just eating that, the spinach, the berries, the pineapples, and drinking a lot of water. The after I believe it's the 7 day, like on after the first week, normally the doctor's like, oh, we need to check the wound. I had dissolvable like stitching thread, but there was some that he had to like pick out when I went to have the first checkup. So when I went to go see him and he looked at the wound, he was like, oh my gosh, he was like, this is healing beautifully. And he just removed some of the little sticklies that was like sticking out. And he was like, you look good. You doing very good. And I really believed, like I said, that all of those things that I did allowed me to heal fast. So let me just reiterate. I know some of you probably have experienced either yourself or other people maybe having longer processes of healing, because like I said, we are regenerative, and we need to make sure that we are aiding in our healing process. And to do that, we need all of those good, potent vitamins and minerals from herbs and from spinach and from the juice. And even if you do a smoothie, like the lemon, like all of that stuff, the lemons, the skin of the lemons, like those things are so good for you. What else about the recovery? After a while, like you cannot walk too fast. I'm telling you, I took my time. I didn't want nothing to bust. Oh yeah, with the showers, I couldn't get the bandaging wet just yet. Like on the first, I think 3 or 4 days, I had to kind of like avoid the water and make sure that the bandages did not get wet. And then also, I think there was like a way, I think I was able to like change my bandage one time myself. And then I believe I went back for the checkup like the second time. And then the doctor was like, I didn't have to have the bandage anymore. So I believe it was like, oh, I really don't remember this part, but that's another thing too. You just don't want to rip a fresh wound. So you have to be careful with that and make sure that you're walking slow. And you'll be able to tell as the days go by, you'll walk a little bit faster and faster. Also, it is important not to lay up all day, but if you get the opportunity to like walk around your room first very slowly just to get the blood flowing, you can do that. And then like where I was, we actually went and got a place because no stairs. He was like, no stairs. So actually, my brother and I, we got like an extended stay because it's like the bed was right there, the kitchen was right there, the bathroom was right there. It was just easier for me instead of being in like anyone's crowded house or being around like the kids. We just wanted to make sure that the recovery process was good. Now, if your home is already set up to where like it's one level, or if you have people to help you go up and down the stairs to cook stuff for you, then that's okay. But for us, we made the decision to do an extended stay on the first floor, handicap, because like we said, I cannot do any stairs, and we just chose the first floor. Even if I could take the elevator, we just chose the first floor because I was in a handicapped state because of the surgery. So that was pretty good. And I think maybe that's all I have to say. If you guys have any questions about recovery that I might have missed, definitely put that in the comment section. And we're getting ready to wind down. Okay, let's see. Okay, so after my recovery, here are the things that I knew. So finally, I knew I did pretty much a 180 with my whole diet. I knew that gluten was out for me. And then I understood that I start really weaning off of even chicken, turkey, and I was doing salmon for a while. Like I kept up with salmon, like I said, until last year, or maybe even this year. I completely cut out salmon. I will say that it felt really good to like have these foreign things out of your body. I woke up, I did not have to be in any discomfort, any pain. I'm telling you, these are the things that was just like mind blowing. My mind was so clear. I felt clarified. I'm telling you, these tumors, cysts, fibroids, anything in your body, lumps in your breast, this stuff messes with your mind. It really does. I was singing. I was like, wait, that note seemed so hard to hit before my surgery. And I realized it was making it very difficult for me to sing because of the tumors. After that, what? It was crazy. I could think straight, everything. And it was while I was recovering, I had an epiphany that I was going to go back to school. So you guys could see me at 36 years old, returned back to college, and got my degree in fine arts, applied music and vocal performance, and I got my certificate in commercial music. Now, of course, so now I can talk about the section of going back to school, because it was pretty much after I was really on the end of my recovery, and I started school in spring of 2016. So, you're a student, you're stressed out. I did fairly well. There's a lot that I still stayed away from, but I did pick up some old habits, like maybe sugar, sweets, this and that. But I was still very mindful of choosing food in a way that was still like beneficial to me. I was able to gain weight back after surgery, but not as much inflammation as before. And I will say that throughout my 4-year college career, because now we're up to the point where I graduated. I had 2 graduations, 2019, 2020. I pretty much graduated in 2020, and I went vegan in 2020. So that is where we are now. And just like any college student, well, not any, but I would say I was mindful. Like, I wasn't eating crazy, but I would try to make the best choices that I could make with just, in between my studies, this and that. But you guys get what I'm saying. One thing is, though, I ain't never touched no pasta. I told y'all, I hadn't touched no pasta in 7 years. Ain't had no spaghetti, no Alfredo, nothing. Okay? So, now, 2020, I am now vegan. I am going to do a whole separate video about going vegan. I am at a place now, because here's the thing. There were women on that post on Instagram that was like, this is my 2nd surgery. This is my 3rd surgery. Oh, mine grew back. Because ladies and gentlemen, no one ever tells you, have you thought about what you're putting in your mouth? Everybody's like, how do fibroids form? Where do they come from? It comes from us damaging us. I knew that I did not want my tumors to grow back. And that's the thing that stayed at the forefront of my mind this whole time since my surgery. And there were times where, like, you know, I do like a pelvic massage, my cycles. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, I'm starting to notice maybe a little sign of like this and that, but I get it together. I knew, because once you know the symptoms, once you know the little signs, that might seem like a little, oh, I need to be careful, then I need to like pull back. Okay. Let me talk about my cycle. My cycle completely normalized after my surgery. The most painless cycles I have ever had in my life. Can you believe it? Like, I had to be like my married friends and literally go to my calendar and like count, because I was never used to counting. Because my married friends, like when they're like planning families, I didn't even know, because I'm not married and I don't have any children. But I found out from them how they have like ovulation calendars and these apps and all this kind of stuff. And my cycle would come and I would not even know, because no cramps. I wouldn't even get like as bloated as I would normally. And I was like, shoot. I was like, okay. Sometimes I'd be somewhere and I'd be cut off guard and I didn't have like a pad or anything like that. Like, oh, and I'll talk about that in a second too. But I'll just be like, okay, I need to count and I need to make sure that I have an idea of when my cycle is going to come. So what I discovered was that I'm pretty much like up until this point now, I'm completely like on schedule every month. Sorry, excuse me. I have a 26-day cycle exactly. So with my calendar, like I count and sometimes I use like a red pen or a pink one, and I just like put my little circle, and that lets me know around about the time I should expect my cycle so that I'm prepared. Smooth, you guys. Like I'm telling you, I was mind blown. I was like, I can't believe. I was like, you mean to tell me I've been doing all that throwing up for all these years that y'all, telling you. I mean, sometimes I could get emotional talking about that, because as you can see, like our cycles be like crazy, right? So cycle is good and it's still really good now. Going vegan has changed my life. Now, I will say this. So, after graduating from college, I pretty much treated myself to like a staycation around the city during the pandemic. And I quarantined for a certain amount of time up until July 4th, where I was like, okay, I got cabin fever and it's time for me to go somewhere. So they had like specials at like some hotels and stuff for Independence Day. So next thing you know, I booked some days here. So I was just staycationing. So I went here, and you can see the videos are here on my channel. I went to the Cove, I went to Blue Stem, whatever. I spent a lot of time in Pasadena, but what I was doing was, I mean, I was having gluten. I know I'm not supposed to, but let me just say, the last time I ordered me some Denny's pancakes at 11:30 at night, which was down the street, and I woke up the next morning. Listen, guys, that was the last time. My stomach was like, okay, we've had it with you. My body was like, we've had it with you. And I had it with myself. And that's all I'm saying, is that it was done for. It was done for. I went vegan, and I was like, I just need to go all the way. Okay, now let me tell you what really helped me go vegan. So I'm a fan of Billie Eilish. I know that her mom started an initiative during a pandemic called Support and Feed. I was not yet vegan yet. Not yet vegan yet, not yet vegan. But through Support and Feed, I had discovered that there are so many amazing vegan restaurants all around LA that I never knew about. My perception of vegan food completely changed. And through that website, initially, I started ordering vegan food, vegan German, vegan Mexican food, Cinevegan, Hinterhof. They're not open anymore. But here's the thing. When I was quarantined, I go get my food. And guys, when I tell you, I could detect a huge difference in vegan food opposed to all other food. And that's vegan junk food, anything. Vegan is just no dairy, meat, and none of its byproducts, like the broth, everything. There was something alive about this food. The first time I had like Hinterhof, I fell out on the bed like, y'all, it was an experience. The first time I had Cinevegan, I fell out on the bed. Even the smell, everything just seemed, I don't know what the word was, but I still had not yet gone vegan, but I was experiencing these things like something is just different. So, like I said, finally, I went ahead and did it. 21 days. I had to fix my body again. I got my distilled water. I got my lemons, lime juice. I did some roasted garlic, and I took everything away. Flushed my system. Let's talk about beans. So at some point, I got on the legumes train. There was a lady at my office that I talked to, and like I said before, sometimes people say things in a certain way and it just stick with you. And I'm gonna make it real short, but all she said to me was, she was a Spanish lady. She said, we're just gonna have to go back to eating beans. And we was talking about something. It was kind of like the pandemic and so, I don't know. And that stuck with me the whole day. And I went to YouTube, and I was in my office in Long Beach. I went to YouTube, and I started listening to these people on these panels talk about beans and the lentils and the black beans and the kid, just all this stuff. And the science of beans. And I said, aha, the beans have to be the foundation of your diet. So I got lentils. I had like refried beans. And I'm just going to tell you this. So going vegan within the 21-day period of me detoxing, cleansing, getting all the gluten, all that stuff out my system, taking on some refried beans, some lentils, chickpeas right out the can, just eating them so that I could restore good flora. I think I was still doing like some plain yogurt. All the inflammation left my body because I was still quarantined and I hadn't gone to my brother's house in months. And the beans literally flattened my stomach. All of that bloating that I was dealing with, lost 2 inches of bloating around my waist. And I was just like, this is the best thing I have ever done. And it still is the best thing I've ever done. I think I can end here because I'm going to do a whole another video about the veganism. Yeah, I'm gonna do another video about how I've progressed and what I've learned about veganism and all of these different kind of foods and how I'm learning to like make my own drinks, which you'll see I have some videos up already about the coffee. And I will say right now though, as I stated in the beginning of this video, this mind reset and healing process that I'm going through is I've completely cut out the ice crunching, which was like really bad because I was doing that. My anxiety was getting really crazy over these last months with just the issues with like the vaccines and all that stuff. And I was doing good with the coffee for a while, being off of it, especially since I had already discovered the coffee substitute in 2020 when I first went vegan. But I had sort of gotten back onto the coffee, but I was doing decaf and I stopped going to the places out, like I stopped going to Starbucks and all of these places. But no ice crunching, no coffee. So far so good. I have not had any tumors grow back. I have not had any signs or any symptoms of any issues. My cycles are completely regular and on time. I always knew that at some point, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I just wanted my body to just shrink down to what it would naturally be. And this is what my body naturally is, just being a vegan. Oh, yes. This is perfect because I remember I was going to tell you guys about my gym experience, like with school. So I did spend about 2 years going to the gym every morning, sometimes in the evening, but usually every morning before class. Me going vegan, in comparison to all the working out I did, I was like, I literally, when I finally did go to my brother's house and my brother saw me and he saw how small I was. And when I say small, I would, I don't weigh myself, but I would say that he was like, you are small. Because inflammation make us look like this. And sometimes we don't know. I saw a picture of myself when I lived in downtown LA that someone had took, and I was like puffed up. Everything is not always inches and weight and fat. Sometimes it's inflammation. The experience with the gym is this. It is for some people. Some people are gym heads. But what I do notice that machines cause you to actually really have to do double the work, and it takes longer. See, like I said, I have dance background, and I actually used to be a long distance runner. I would literally jog like across a whole city to the beach. So for me, outdoors, maybe some hiking, or I would go to like a track at a college or a school and do that, or to a park and work out. And when I used my own resistance against my own body without machines, it was always easy to lose weight. Going to the gym, it's a good stress reliever, but my 2 years at the gym was nothing compared to my 21 days of going vegan and literally dropping all the inflammation out of my body and slimming down. My sister and my niece, let me tell you, I had so much gas. listen, I was at my sister's house, stomach just bubbly. That was like before, that was like when I was like, okay, I've had enough. My stomach was so bubbly, it was ridiculous. The next time I went, after the 21 days, when I went to my sister's house and I walked in her house, my sister and my niece looked at me like, huh, look how much you slimmed down. 21 days, guys. 21 days, and people can notice. 21 days over 2 years at the gym. My sister, my niece, they both went vegan because they saw me as an example. Now, my niece, she's already petite. My sister, she has definitely like she's slimming down. But let's give an example. Like for them, my niece is a seafood head. My sister comes from a more traditional, like I come from vegetarianism, so it was like more easy for me. Like I was already coming from restrictions, so it was easy. They tend to like a little bit more of the substitutes, like the crumbles, like the vegan crumbles or the soy shrimp or other substitutes where they can still have what they like. And they are not as strict as I am about one ingredient foods and potent herbs and things like that. My brother, he's trying vegan food. My nephew, who's 5, I think he the healthiest eater in the whole family because he likes little vegan nuggets and things like that, and he likes to eat healthy, and he's 5. The vegan gumbo that I just made for this New Year's, I was able to share some with my brother, and he loved it. So, leading by example. I know they say that, oh, you shouldn't shove it down people's throats and you shouldn't try to change people. That's not me. That's that. I get my bullhorn. I'll be like, you need to be vegan. I mean, it is what it is. Listen, I'm a truth bearer. Look, but here's the thing. People already know what they need to do. Half of the time, the reason why people get mad when you tell them the truth is because it's already a confirmation inside of themselves and they know they need to change. So ladies, overall, and men too, but we're talking about fibroids. Ladies, I'm going to say this. There was only one person that I saw in the comment section of that Instagram post that said, I am working with my nutritionist and I am changing my lifestyle and my diet to a more holistic lifestyle with less stress. Everybody else was like, blah, 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 and blah, 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 and surgery this, and this. She is the key. So I'm going to tell y'all, at whatever level you are at, and I just want to make sure I cover everything in detail. Our ancestral heritage is, and this is with many people, Indians, a lot of Indian food is vegetarian. Islanders, tribal people, all throughout Africa, we eat of the land. We usually, legumes and, beans are at the foundation of most diets. This American diet does not belong to us. Understand that and know that. Don't make any excuses. Don't be like, oh, but I can't live without. No, yeah, you can. You can. Don't make any excuses. Be willful in the mind and be strong in heart. Have strong willpower. There's tons of food out there. Just because mentally, if you went a day without eating meat and you're like, because here's the thing, you could easily be like, I'm gonna go vegan. And all of a sudden, people be like, I can't live without my meat. But if you was just like, went a week without a burger and didn't even think about it, you just went a whole week without meat. And you didn't even think about it. You just went a whole week without having a burger at all. A lot of it is psychological. So, we must get back to a stress-free and holistic lifestyle for ourselves and our families. We must get on one accord, and that's the men too. I'm not going to talk about relationships, and it's not any of my business, but I'm just going to say what I envision in my heart. I see kings and queens and young princes and princesses knowing their heritage and eating plant-based and meditating together and reconnecting with the earth together. Look up breatharians and breatharianism. This is something that I'm actually moving towards, that I just discovered this year. But I will talk about that in my veganism video. But this is a vision that I see. And if your family can attain and then obtain this vision, we will have better health throughout our Black families and our Black communities. I think I've said everything I needed to say. I've said a lot in 2 hours, and I hope that this has been fully helpful to anyone who runs across this. Anything else. Culture, peoples, I've covered a lot, okay. I will say, just overall, just to reiterate, make sure, if anything, you're drinking a lot of water, distilled and mineral, some alkaline. Drink a lot of teas. Take supplements. Find out what is needed for your body, but do make sure you're having supplements. And because teas are also liquid supplements, guys. Teas are liquid supplements. And I will say, be mindful of your sugar, your dairy, and your meat, and your gluten. Be mindful of that. Go watch They're Trying to Kill Us, killusfilm.com. Rent the movie. Go watch What the Health if you've never seen it. Go watch Seaspiracy if you've never seen it. These films will change your life. So, God bless. I pray that each and every woman who is before, during, and after, oh man, I'm telling you, I just pray that you come out with a success story and that you will never have to deal with fibroids except for one time and one time only. That's it. That's it. Okay? Let's talk about it below. God bless. Have a good rest of your day. Okay. Bye.